We're just after coding this example here to take an input from a user stored. So what we've done is we've taken an input from a user, we've stored whatever the input was in a variable called age, and then in our test expression here, or some people call it a condition, we've checked whether that age is greater than or equal to 17, and if it is, we're going to print out a statement: you are old enough to drive. Very important to understand that inside the if statement, any code that belongs to that if statement is indented. 4 spaces, or another way of doing it is just hitting the return key and it will pick it up after the colon. So if I run this, and I got you all to do this, and you end up getting an error. Why do you get an error? Well, the reason you get an error is by default, the input from the user is a string. If you try and compare a string age to an actual integer age, you will get what's known as a type error, because they're 2 different types. So this is not, I'm just going to show you this. I'm going to overwrite the variable. Overwrite the variable here, but there's a quicker way to do it. Overwrite the variable, and to do that, what I want to do is convert age from a string to an integer. Now this is not the way I recommend you doing it. I just want to show you it. I'm going to say age is equal to, and I'm going to say, okay, using the int function, I'm going to convert the age, the previous age, if you like. So this one, I'm going to convert this to an integer. And then whatever the result is, I'm going to store that in a variable, or overwrite the variable called age. And you can do this in Python because variables are dynamic. They can be overwritten and changed as the program goes along. So now if I run this, again I go 17 down below here, and it'll tell me you were old enough to drive. And I can do many more tests. However, look, before you go coding, that is fine to do that, but there's a quicker way. All I have to do, is my input there, cast that immediately by saying int function here, wrap it within the parentheses, and that will do it immediately. So look at inside here, it takes your input, it converts that then to an integer, and then it stores it in the variable age, and you've saved processing space and all that and memory by doing it this way. And now if I run it again, I'm going to get the same thing, enter your age, 17, you're old enough to drive. Let's test it, let's do 16. Oh, I got nothing there, that's fine. I've done that on purpose, and let's do 100. You're old enough to drive. Right, so I've ran a few different examples. However, I ran into a little problem there when I did one of them. I did the 15 or 16. What happened when I ran an age that was younger than 17? So what? Nothing happened. And that's the way I have it coded, don't I? I've quite simply said, if your age is greater than or equal to 17, print you were old enough to drive. But if they're not greater than or equal to 17, it skips over that and nothing else happens. Nothing else happens. That's it. So let's say I wanted to tell the user, right, well, what if you're not over 17? I do what's known as an else clause. If there's only 2 of them in it, I do an else clause, and I say, so it's like, if you're old enough, if you're 17 or over, you're old enough to drive. Else, you're not old enough to drive. You are too young. Whatever message you want to give there, you are too young. You need to be 17 or over. That's a hugely important thing in programming there. That's so age 17, that's fine, and give a younger one here, maybe 15. You are too young, you need to be 17 or over. Job done.